We're rolling. Timer starts now. Mark. Hi, I'm Ford.
And I'm Sky. And these are not our real names. These are our superhero names, and with our powers combined, we formed the writing partnership L. Skyford. Welcome to Booklandia.
You've joined us today for a Minisode, where we will geek out about literary topics like plot and character tropes, and maybe some book news. But before we get much further, did you know you can watch our faces do this episode by subscribing to us on Twitch at lskyford or YouTube at l.skyford? You should do it. We give good face.
And sometimes there's a dog bomb at Ford's house.
This is true. For our other socials, you can follow us on Twitter at SkyfordL, on Instagram at l.skyford. And if you're interested in our book, blog, or even more book reviews, head over to our website, lskyford.com.
Lastly, this and every episode are chock full of oversharing and spoilers, and every episode is rated E for explicit. You have been warned.
Oh, you've been warned.
You've been warned. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you caught the very, very beginning of the graphic, you already know what we're going to talk about because it helps when I set up the graphics correctly. But oh well, for those of you who are listening to this, you are in for a tiny surprise. So today,
the tiniest of surprises.
The tiniest of surprises. We bring you only the best. Today we're going to talk about friends to lovers trope.
Meow.
Welcome to this Tropelandia minisode, Friends to Lovers.
Friends to Lovers.
All right.
Have you noticed yet that we're wearing the same shirts?
No, to be fair, these are weeks apart, but the clothes are all the same.
Yep, hard truth. I'm just slowly drinking my way through these episodes.
Oh, then there you go.
Right. Okay, so Friends to Lovers might be my favorite trope.
I have a hard time.
I don't know if you knew this about me. Okay, cool. This is one of those weird, rare times where we're opposites, and it is just chef's kiss perfect.
I mean, I feel like this is the counterpoint to enemies to lovers. Because you don't like enemies to lovers, I do. And you like friends to lovers, and I take some issue with it. I'm not saying it's the worst, but I take some issue with it, and we'll get into it in a second. So the whole point of Friends to Lovers...
fisticuffs over this.
You got it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. The whole point of Friends to Lovers is that the couple is first friends. There's a lot of books in which they even help each other go on dates with other people, or they support them through their other adventures before they realize that they've been in love with each other all along.
Yeah.
Or in love with each other.
Right. I wrote BFFs to SCX.
There you go.
Yeah. So here's why I think it works. When you're friends with somebody, you already have a connection. You already have chemistry. You already know you like this person. There's already a foundation of love there with friends. So if you are both comfortable as friends, crossing out of the friend zone into our naughty bits are touching zone, then that's fine. It makes sense.
It does, and it presents a particular level of emotional connection and trust. So as an audience, we are rooting for them because we already know that their personal relationship is really strong. I have some bones to pick with this trope. And the bones I have to pick with this trope is that when this trope is employed, I have yet to read a book that subverts this trope. And here's what I mean. There are very few books that I can think of that have a platonic, bonded, tight relationship between two characters who would be interested in partners of the same gender as their best friend, but who do not end up with their best friend. So what I mean is, like, if we talk about, and we'll get into it, and this is just a very easy example, Josh and Hazel's Guide
to Not Dating.
Guide to Not Dating. I was like, what's the next word? Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. So if Josh and Hazel become really close friends and great confidants, and then Hazel does not date Josh, but she has a best friend who is male and someone that she would be sexually attracted to, but is not her lover. That is a thing that I would be interested in. Platonic friendships aren't portrayed really well in fiction I read, and maybe there's fiction out there that I'm not reading that I should be about platonic love. But so it's sort of, there's sort of an implication that if you are a heterosexual person, that you cannot have a relationship, a platonic
I see.
relationship with a heterosexual person of the other gender or of a different gender. And the same is true for gay relationships and lesbian relationships, that you cannot be best friends with the other lesbian in your life and not hook up with them. And I think that that's
I see.
faulty, because you like
Mhm.
absolutely can have whoever is your platonic friend is your friend, right? Regardless
Right.
of anything else. And I just haven't seen this trope be subverted in a way where you
Sure.
think that it's going to be best friends to
Mhm.
lovers, but in fact it's two people that uplift each other, that trust each other, and that can find
I
in each other.
I feel like the subverting of this trope is happening more and more in current YA. I don't know, I can't name any titles or have read any titles, but, this feels like a very sort of YA angle where the character's like, "Oh, yeah, we made out once at a party, but now we're BFFs and it's cool." So, yeah,
Yeah, for
that's
me,
I agree with you, but
the
yes, there hasn't been a good subversion of this trope.
right, the exception to this rule for me in very like recently is How to Fail at Flirting. She is
Mhm.
best friends with the guy she dated in college
True.
and
True.
the woman who was her roommate at the time. And there are scenes between the main character and her former makeout buddy, and they have really
Mhm.
deep intense conversations, and it is just
Yeah.
friends platonically supporting each other. And it was one of the first times that I've seen that without any sort of like
Yep.
weirdness or explanation. They just hang
Yeah.
out and have pizza and have a really honest conversation about her needs.
Yeah.
So that is the outlier for me in this
Okay.
in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what so you've explained why you think it's flawed. I think it can be flawed because boundaries are important and boundaries are a good thing. And if you're gonna cross out of your friend zone into your our naughty bits are touching zone, it has to be consensual. It has to for me, it has to be well thought out. You have to understand what this means for your friendship
And a
because
lot
you're
of these
essentially killing your friendship.
well, so okay, so twofold comment on that. So
Okay.
in a lot of these books, the transition from friends to uh friends that bump uglies, to put it somewhat in your terms,
Yeah,
is
somewhat.
usually like a drunken thing or
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
mistake. I'm
Mhm.
putting this in air quotes because that's
Okay.
not a comfortable sentence for me. um but the other thing that I think, the other thing that you said that I want to bring attention to, is that you said once you cross into a sexual relationship, you essentially kill your friendship. And
Mm.
eh, I mean, so
Okay, alright,
there's a
sure,
lot of people
understand.
out there
Yep.
who would say that they're best friends with their significant other. And so they disagree with that
Right.
premise, right? And I am a strong believer in not being best friends with my significant others, because I have my
Mm.
significant other and then I also have my friends, and I need the
Yeah,
counterbalance. That's the type of person I am. I cannot put all of my emotional labor on a single person out there,
sure.
because that load would be too heavy.
So, I do consider my significant other to be my best friend, but they weren't my best friend first.
Right, that
They've
relationship has
always been
developed.
well, yes, yeah, absolutely. The connection, we've always been in a romantic relationship, and they have bubbled to the top of being like my number one clutch. I tell everything to. They understand me the deepest. sort of best friendship. So, yes, I apologize for my judgmental cringiness. You are very correct in that I had a very limited that was a very limited scope of commentary. I apologize. I think the point is if you're friends with somebody and then you sleep with that person, something fundamentally is changing. Going back to that friendship is very hard. So I guess I'm talking about, like, the alchemy, chemical chemistry change that happens when you decide to have a sexual relationship with somebody that you haven't yet.
And for some people, that type of affection, physical affection, might not have significant emotional
Mm,
connotations. And
uh-huh.
so right, and so that might be the case for some people where and I might be those people. I say slightly quieter than not, but I have
What?
absolutely
What was that? I couldn't hear you. Could you please speak
my
up?
point is that there is a world out there where you are both looking for a physical satisfaction and
Mhm.
you're already friends with each other, so there is a familiarity and a safety that comes with that, and
Sure.
you're not interested in and genuinely do not form a romantic relationship after the fact. You just help each other out in the best way you know how.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, I'm just gonna be very mom right now in make sure you're very clear with your consent, you know what you're doing, and that you both agree to your boundaries in this
Yes.
regard.
Yes,
'Cause
that
that
is
whole idea just screams messy emotional relationship to me, and I don't no, thank you. I don't want messy relationships.
boundaries are very important. Not messy at
Mhm.
all if those boundaries are respected.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that makes me think about, you mentioned earlier about when, friends just hook up and quote unquote, "It's a mistake," quote unquote. So that makes me think about, my one of the early Friends to Lovers stories that I read, which was, My Favorite Half Nightstand by Christina Lauren. The Christina Lauren, I think this might be their favorite trope. They've
It's
written
possible.
quite a few books.
We have a lot of their books on this
3.
list. We have 3. We
Yeah.
have, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, which we've already brought up. We have My
Yep.
Favorite Half Night Stand, which I have to
Yep.
say is one of my all-time favorite Christina Laurens. It has
It's
really good
very good.
banter. It's very
Yeah.
good,
It
but they do
Mhm.
hook up the first time drunkenly.
Yes.
And then they have the "What have we done?"
Mhm.
moment.
Mistake face.
They have the mistake phase, and then they
Mhm.
talk through it and decide how to proceed out of it. And
Yep.
then the third
Yep.
one that we have on this list is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, and that one, and actually I just thought that In a Holidays is sort of in that boat too,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
she's
you're very
known him
right.
for so long in a friend
Yeah.
capacity before it
Mhm.
crosses a threshold. So, and Love in Other Words is in that same boat where they've known each other for so long and then they cross
Childhood friends. Yeah.
the sexual
Yeah.
threshold together. So, yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe this is their favorite trope to write. Um,
I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna complain.
they're very good
Not at
at
all.
it. I do like their
Mhm.
version of it, but yeah, there's like for me it's just the like, oh no, we made a mistake, and I'm like, if you're best friends, then it isn't a mistake. It's something that you need to set boundaries on, but it can't possibly be a
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one, not Christina Lauren. Let's step off the Christina Lauren path and onto another friends to lovers path. One could say Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan is friends to lovers. She kind of befriends him against not against his will, but begrudgingly. He accepts her friendship, but it very quickly it becomes I would say more romantically entwined.
Yes, I think to me the difference between like friends to lovers versus just a story about two people who are always going to be lovers it has to do with like the first meeting or several meetings. And in the lover to lover scenario, those first meetings are always like tingles and heartache and like the
Sure.
heart
Yeah.
palpitations. But in the
Yeah.
friend scenario, it's like hanging out and getting comfortable and feeling the other person's vibe as a person. And then turns out they're also very hot.
Their meet cute was him picking up her tampons and Snickers bars. That feels very friendly to me.
That
But it is
feels
still a meet
very
cute.
meet cute to me, meaning that I actually don't
Mhm.
think that Archer's voice is a friends to lovers. I think they're
Okay.
just slow burn. I think they're just slow burn.
Okay, okay,
Because
okay,
from the
cool.
get-go, she's like super awkward about the fact that he's picking up her tampons. Also, join me for my TED
Get
talk
over
about
that.
that.
Yeah,
But
get over it.
but
Yeah.
she notices how attractive he is right away.
Sure. Okay,
So So
alright.
that right, so right
Touche
away she
salesman.
like puts him into the sexual object category versus friend object
Mm,
category if we're gonna objectify.
okay.
Um,
So that Goodreads list was wrong. That's
well,
what I'm
I
gonna
mean,
say
we have
there.
disagreed with quite a few of those now. So,
That's also true.
the next one that is on this list, there are two more that are on this list, and so the first one is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and he is originally her roommate's boyfriend. And then he
Mm.
becomes her boyfriend over time. So yes, um,
I have not read this book, so now my imagination is running wild about how that progression happens.
I was rooting for the roommate. Reagan is the name of the
Oh.
roommate, and I was a huge
Mhm.
fan of this roommate and was really surprised that this is how the relationship developed because it was like,
'Kay.
wait, really? Okay. So in
Alright.
for all of you out there who are huge fangirl fans, don't come at me, or maybe
Yeah.
do if you need to, I
Yeah.
guess. But I did not
For
enjoy the
those of you who are fangirls, don't
there we
come at
go.
her.
Or or do if you really have something to say about it. It's fine. And then the last one that's on this list is Lola and the Boy Next Door
Mhm.
by Stephanie Perkins, which that whole series makes me go aw in the most adorable
So
way
sweet.
because it's so
Yeah.
sweet and wonderful.
Mhm.
Lola and the boy next door, they live next door to each other as children. So
Mhm.
this is another one of those like growing up together, being best friends as children, and then developing
Mhm.
romantic feelings for each other as they become young adults and then
Mhm,
and
mhm.
onward. So that's that's my story on that. That one's just really
Oh,
sweet.
I just remembered one. I remembered one. Sonia Hartle's "Have a Little Faith in Me." They're best friends, and then they go to church camp, and she realizes how hot he is at church camp. So,
You gotta
yes,
do
that
something
okay.
at church camp.
Yep, you gotta do something. So the boy next door trope is strong. Is a
Yes.
strong enemies. Sorry, friends to lovers pathway.
Is with the boy.
Yeah,
I really I feel like are we missing the like the girl next door or the boy
we.
next door?
I'm sure we just haven't read it yet, which means tell us which one we've missed.
Yes,
I
for
want to read
sure.
the girl next door for sure.
I think it'd be cute.
I think it would be so cute. We're rolling. Timer starts now. Mark. Hi, I'm Ford.
And
So
I'm
are you,
Sky.
dear
And
audience
these are
human,
not
gonna
our
pick
real
up this
names.
book now that you've heard our review? Let us know in the comments. Have a suggestion for another review? Slide on into our DMs.
If you like this adventure in books or updates on our upcoming projects, please follow, like, save, subscribe, rate, review us on Instagram at l.skyford, on Twitch at lskyford, and on Twitter at skyfordl. Phew. I'm Sky.
And I'm Ford. And that's it for this minisode. We will see you next time on Booklandia, where every book is a whole world to explore.